The common denominator in any sovereign economic plan, be it budget, fiscal and monetary policy, is the household. But like all good work of fiction, the budgets and the ARGP in Nigeria misses this key important point, only because, as configured, the system is not designed to focus on accountability indexes a country should base its reward structure upon, the quality of life index. We cannot therefore build a thriving economy without a thriving society founded on principles, precepts, and statutes that supports and promotes excellence and equity. The challenge to build an integrity-driven environment is not about speeches, really, gentlemen. It is about actions. It's about people like us in this room. For those of you in this room, I assume we are an oasis of sorts. We have convinced ourselves that we represent the good. We are the good guys, we think, right? So if you've convinced yourself that you are part of the good, how do you therefore explain so many actions which I intend to show you here? I am speaking today, therefore, about this young man, a young man who felt that the negativity around him was so much in the country. He felt that there were bad practices and he was involved in some. He then walked up to people, men of integrity like you, and said, look, the things I used to do were bad. I don't want to do them anymore. But you know what you did? You covered your noses around him. It's like a man walks up in the church and says, I give my life to God. I have changed. I don't want to sin no more. He goes back to his seat, and everybody starts moving away from him. And even in the church, right there and then, where they preach forgiveness, he cannot be forgiven. You cannot change Nigerians from being bad. If we have every opportunity, there's no room for them to raise their hand and say, I was bad. Give me a chance to be good anymore. The country does not give you a room for a second chance to be good. And so people naturally find it easier for themselves to say, I might as well be. After all, the reward system in this country, we put for you a governor who you know is a criminal. It will put for you a legislature who you know has a challenge. It will put for you, even in private sector, who you know is ethically challenged. Our reward structure is geared not to promote excellence. Our reward structure is geared not to enable people to aspire. Rather, they perspire in trying to prove themselves. This cannot be a foundation under which you will build a great nation. So here is what I say. I am a mirror image of the Nigeria you try to talk about. From good foundations from home, very solid background, a decent mother, a very upstanding father. But yet, in all my surroundings, I found challenges all around me. I basically did virtually everything you could read here. It will tell you that if you look at it, it's basically what your country does. It has limited income. It has unlimited expenses. How can you function as a country like that? You borrow to fund consumables. How can a human being function? If a human being were doing what the Nigerian government would do, he would be a bad what? A bad credit. If a man came to your house trying to get your daughter's hand in marriage, you will not give it to him if he conducted himself like Nigeria. If anyone around you were to have somebody like this with you, you will run away from it. But that is the challenge about discussing integrity in Nigeria. We discuss it from the position as if we are better than the other person. We discuss it from the position that you do not understand that whereas Bayo, my engineer friend and doctor, had gone through a lot, you see those dark periods in between were never described for you, where they had to come to a position, what you call the threshing floor, where they come to their come to Jesus moment to understand that, look, the things I used to do, I do no more, or this is how I'm going to be. I have a friend, his name is Kolade Lecture. I've never known a man with more integrity than that. He's Muslim, but he has shown so much integrity that I understood from him that compliance is what you do when everybody can see you. Ethics is what you do whether anybody is there or not. It is who he is every day of the time, anywhere, any moment. He is constant as daylight. He will show respect to Muslims, to Christians, and whatever he says is his bond. I see Nigerians go on missions outside the country and they do extremely well. I see Nigerians working in multinational companies, and they do extremely well. I see Nigerians working in knowledge management firms, the Philips Consultings of this world, the PwCs where I train, and they do very well. I see some pockets of excellence here and there. I see what they do in GT Bank, and I see these Nigerians do well. I see young men, artists, what have you, go outside the country and they excel in the diaspora. And then I said to myself, how come it doesn't work? Then it occurred to me, it is nothing about the people per se, even though there's a challenge, it is about the system. You see, it is the system, and you can tell it, you crack it in jokes and you don't realize it. You see, you travel out to Dubai or to what have you, or even to Rwanda there, or to Kenya there, or to South Africa, and then you just enter Nigeria and everything just changes. You see, the system from that place gets you into the whole thing. And that is how you look at it, that right from primary school, that system has been indoctrinating people to be what? Non-compliant. Have you noticed something about Nigerians? That if you notice very seriously, and which I will talk about, is that the average Nigerian has learned, without being told, how to shout, how to threaten, how to make problems. Because he knows why? He's never had. Until he raises his voice. He's never had. Until he threatens you, you never listen. Have you ever seen so many domestic things? People bring police. I'll bring police. You can bring army. The other can bring a navy. And then we just try it with ourselves. And then we say, oh boy, are you sharp? The truth of the matter is that. So I recognize that it is the system. And what do I know about the system? So here's the difference. And what I want to do, therefore, is that this is my conclusion about the Nigerian state. So when we begin to have these arguments and you do your programs at Action Aid and what have you, it is important for you to disaggregate the conversation, to understand that from the very primary age, it's not people like Bolaji you want to change or myself. It is at the very young age where they understand that these are the challenges. That even employers in Nigeria understand that, look, the average person does not want to work for you. In this country, the central bank recently said that they were going to give what did they call it, mass credit? They are moral hazards we just play with. The average security man in your office, or your driver, or your whatever, once he takes a loan from you, it takes off. That has nothing to do with government. That's just the people. That's who we are. Let's be honest. How do you deal with such an individual? Yet, you know what is the problem? You don't even have any place for redress. You cannot even get to the police to help you. They will laugh. They will even ask you for money from you yourself. That's the first point you understand how the system works. So when you find exemplar companies, like Soji was explained to us, it is good. But what I want to discuss here is that how do we understand the nexus between a thriving economy and a thriving society, and understand that the underpinning between all three is governance, leadership, and ethics. Not mutually exclusive. They must work together. And it is because it is an existential issue for us. It is not an option anymore that we have to deal with this thing, because literally, it will cost you your life. It will cost you your life from roads. I'm sure today, everybody here who is going to Ikeja, you might as well stay behind and listen to us and let us have conversation, because the whole road is blocked. And it is blocked because there is a drainage problem. There is a drainage problem because there is what? The construction of a road that allows a government to tell you that they are doing maintenance work is a wrong notion of governance. Maintenance of road is not a governance issue, because at the time in which you were constructing that road and putting it up, maintenance was already part of it. It wasn't something you have to do as an addendum to it. The contract was already taking care of it. Now, no, don't clap yet. Don't clap yet. We are not getting there. The other part of it is that the roads are blocked because people, maybe not some of you in this room, but probably a few of you, would consider those gutters as what? Your waste disposal point. So you find out that, look, this is not about us and them. This is about every one of us. We are as equally guilty as the government we hold responsible. And because it's just a terrible cycle, there doesn't seem to be any way out. And as such, naturally, like Osaro said, those who are not criminals will stand a chance. So right now, there is even a tax on you being a criminal. There is a tax on you not being ethical. There is a tax on you not having integrity. You know why? Because even criminals don't want criminals for clients. They want people who can be better than them. Let me explain to you, therefore. It's funny that you laugh, but the truth of the matter is that you see these young men, you see these gentlemen here acting as security, you see these young men and ladies acting all around you here. They are the future that will destroy all of you in this room if you're not careful. And here's my point. In the street, the rule is that there are no rules. Just survive, stay awake, strike when the opportunity presents itself, scheme to stay alive, be always ready, eyes down looking, don't snitch. And by the way, Soji, for you, the rules of the street goes against the corporate rules. In corporate world, we talk about whistleblowing. In the street, they deal with people who snitch. You must form and find a new crew to roll with. Winning is everything. Kill or be killed. In short, in the street, it's a zero-sum game. Nobody really wins. But if you look at it, that is your Nigeria today. We are playing that zero-sum game. In this type of society, progress occurs by default, not by design. So when Bolaji was talking and showing you all the charts and graphs, I'm sure in your mind, some of you are probably wondering, what is he talking about? Because you see, in the process of governance, we do not subject it to rigors. You see, if you look at those actions, and I'll give you, the most interesting thing is that, does any of you have a copy of this report? So every presentation I had changed immediately I read this report. So let me refer you to some pages here. So that would even help me complete my presentation. I need not even finish it. Just read this report. Let me refer you to some pages. The most interesting pages are pages 7 to 9, but the most important one for me will start from page 9. The reason why this is important is this. You see, when we built that port system, we had a population of 16 million, right? When we got up to a population of 50 million, 60 million, 80 million, 100 million, that same port that was designed to serve the 16 million population is still the same port serving a 80 million people. That is enough reason to understand whether you are a forward-thinking nation or not. You don't need anybody to tell you that. And by the way, guess what is even the most challenging thing? This port, which is not even okay for a 180 million people, according to this report, has a capacity utilization of 30 to 40%. Wait a minute, let me help you understand that problem. The port is not even good enough, but yet it's still underutilized by 40%. So page 9 says as follows. Unfortunately, the measures taken are only emergency steps, temporary, and do not involve in-depth structural changes, even when the problems in the ports are more fundamental and deep-seated, structural and long-term in effect. The approaches are also too piecemeal and window dressing for a more systemic problem of port inefficiency. The approaches are mere responses to public outcry rather than a research-driven process. The emergency approaches are also top-bottom, unsustainable political interventions rather than bottom-top objective solutions and approaches to a systemically formidable problems. Have you noticed something in Nigeria, really? That every time you read any communication from government, it says, with immediate effect. Now, listen very carefully. This is the truth you never want to talk about. You hear with immediate effect. Not with effect from, follow the synonyms in there, with immediate effect. Not with effect from. The two represent two mindsets. You see, the first one means that you are in a permanent emergency mode. And there's a difference between the emergency ward in a general hospital and that which you find